Hello everyone, my name is Ekaterina from Empower. Thank you for joining us today, our webinar, Our Productivity Booster Automated Management Reports in PowerPoint. Before we start, a couple of words about the setup today. All participants are muted and you are very welcome to send us questions as we go in the Q&A section of your Zoom at the very bottom of your screen. And at the very end of our webinar, we will have time for a Q&A session, which my colleague Felix will be moderating today. So today our focus is the automated management reports in PowerPoint. Talking to our clients, we very often hear basically the same problems that people who are working with management reports are facing. So here are a couple of those. In PowerPoint, you have insufficient data visualization options. Very often, you need some very special chart types that are not available in PowerPoint. So for example, something like project plans that you could use in your reports, or for example, if you would like to highlight some specific numbers using CAGR errors or for example, growth errors, this is something that is not supported by a native PowerPoint and let's say gives you a limited possibility to bring your message across. The second challenge that we very often hear from our clients is the linking charts and tables to Excel tables. Very often for your management reports, you get the data in Excel format. If you're lucky enough, this will be a consolidated, very big Excel sheet where you have all the data that you need in your report, or you're working with multiple data sheets that you receive from, for example, different departments as input for your report or from different types of systems. And if you are talking about linking with native PowerPoint features for charts to your Excel tables, this is working actually pretty well. So you can directly create a link between a chart and your PowerPoint file. And if you are not moving to any other location, both your PowerPoint presentation and your Excel file, then you're perfectly fine. Then the link is still working. If we are talking about the linking of tables, then this is something that is a little bit more complicated if we are talking about the linkage to the PowerPoint file. Normally, you would need to have an embedded object, which has also fixed formatting. So you are not able to edit, for example, your cell styles, order different font types, etc. So this is a pre-formatted table, which doesn't give you any flexibility to make the table also looking in your corporate design, for instance. The next challenge will be the data updates. Very often, if you are talking about very complex management reports, you could also have different types of data that you need to connect to your to your PowerPoint presentation. And also you have a lot of people contributing to these databases. Simply, you very often don't know where exactly the actual data is located, so that you need to search for data as well very often. And in this scenario, you often don't have a basic overview where exactly the data is located, which table is connected to which type of external file, if it's an Excel file, for example, and talking about the searches for recent results, this is also can be quite a challenge. If you are working for a rather smaller organization, then typically you would have a SharePoint account, for instance, where you have all the data stored, or you're working with a NAT drive, which is probably, let's say, the two common ways where to store the data. And this is all, for most of the cases, very clear where exactly to find information. Talking about different enterprises who have multiple thousands of employees, then the situation is completely different. You have very often also storage specific for your department or for your location. So everything is, let's say, decentralized, and this also causes you a lot of trouble to find the relevant material for your report and also to find the latest numbers, for example, in all these multiple data sources. So talking about all these topics with our clients, we decided also to have, let's say, scientific proof for all these challenges that we just mentioned right now. And so we conducted a study with Nielsen. So this is the big PowerPoint study where we asked people from different industries around the globe how they actually work with PowerPoint today. Here you see one of the results of this study. We also asked people about the biggest time waster for PowerPoint. And we have here 3 highlighted topics that we will be also dealing with today. So the first one, roughly half of the respondents confirmed that creating and formatting of charts is one of the biggest time wasters in PowerPoint. Also, 34% of respondents confirmed that creating and formatting tables is also quite a trouble and takes a lot of time. And the last point is that checking and searching for the latest version could be also very time consuming. So in this case, today we will deal with these 3 main topics. All the other topics we were talking about them in our last webinar that was roughly 2 weeks ago. If you are interested in a recording for this webinar, please let us know in the chat so that we could also send you the recording where we are talking about other topics, about other aspects of working with PowerPoint. So today I would like to show you how basically we can address all these issues that we are having while working with management reports and all other types of reports with Empower products. Today we will be concentrating on basically 2 main use cases. So the first one is how we can create a management report using Empower tools and connect different types of elements like charts and tables with our Excel sheet. And the second one, how we basically can update this report, for example, for a new quarter, and make it available for everyone in the organization or for those who have the authority to look into this data. All right, to start with our first use case, I would like to switch to PowerPoint directly. And you see that my PowerPoint looks a little bit different in comparison to your PowerPoint if you are not using Empower yet. You have here a separate ribbon, Empower ribbon, which is located between File and Home ribbons and has basically all the functionalities that you need in order to create a nice report in your corporate design and also be able to link your Excel sheets to your presentation. Just going briefly through the functions that Empower Ribbon offers to you. The first block of function is basically for creating a new presentation, selecting the template. Moving further, we have here different formatting tools. For example, the text pickers, the font pickers and color pickers, which are also here according to your corporate design. And probably the most important part of our tool is the library, where you have all the assets centrally located. For example, product information, some slides and presentations that can be used in a PowerPoint creation process. And also you have some building blocks for your presentation to support your creativity, but those are still in your corporate design. The next functional block is Empower Charts. So this will be our focus today. This is an additional tool for PowerPoint, which helps you to create sophisticated charts, things like waterfall charts, Gantt charts, etc., and also connect all these chart types with your Excel sheets. At the end of the process, you could also have the possibility to align your objects on the slide in a different way using the layout toolbar. And also at the end of the presentation, you could perform different checks, for instance, to check your presentation if it's corporate design compliant or not. Before you start building your report, very often you get a large Excel file. And this large Excel file, as I mentioned before, if you're lucky enough, then you have basically all the data that you need directly consolidated in one file. If not, then you have multiple files from different systems that probably you need to put together first. So let's say we have a consolidated file for our report, which looks somehow like this. We are going to build today a quarterly statement for Q2 2020. And here we have some selected financial data. So we have key financials for the whole organization. We have some details about the sales performance for our organization. Then we have some sales number for different segments. Then we have also some selected financial informations. Statement of income is, for example, included, and also some development of sales by region. Of course, depending on the size of your organization, the complexity of report, you will be having probably even more complex Excel sheet with more tables and more tabs in it that I'm having today. But today I would like just to give you a feeling how basically you could work with Empower tools to accomplish your task. All right, so this is our Excel sheet that we are going to use today. And for a nice presentation, I would need to have a template first. So the new template can be directly selected from Empower. I just click on New and jump directly into my library, where I have also the master template folder where all our master templates are located. So in here you see we have the company's default, which is a typical master for example, product presentations, marketing presentations, and sales pitches. And very often, if your company is working a lot with the management reports, you also would probably have a separate master for reports, because the requirements for the management reports are quite different. You have different other layouts in your master template, because it should be, let's say it's less of a creative work, but more or less very structured presentation of data. So this type of master templates are located in our system in the folder specials. So here I have also other types of master templates in different color schemes, and also I have a folder reporting. By the way, this folder reporting can be available to only a specific group of people, for example, for people from your financial department. You see in here we have a selected number of people who have access basically to this folder. So this way you could eliminate the misusage, let's say, of these types of templates. I just double click on the folder, select the master template, and create a new presentation. So there we go. We have now a nice presentation with a title page and also the last slide. And now, of course, we would need to have some content. To start with my report, I would like to define a structure for my presentation first. So this is something that I can accomplish using the agenda wizard of Empower Slides. It's right there. I just click on it and jump directly into the window with my agenda settings. So the first thing that I would like to do is just type in some chapters that I would like to include today in my report. Let's start with the summary. This is probably the most important chapter, because for those who are not really interested into in financial details, this would be probably the most important part of the report. Then I would like to have some information about sales and earnings performance. And some numbers regarding net assets and financial position. And at the very end, for those who are interested in background information, I would like to provide some selected financial information. So now our chapters are ready. And what I can do now, I can do some yeah, I could have some modifications for my agenda. In our system here, we have different designs of an agenda template. And for instance, here I know that I have a divider style, which is, let's say, the simplest design in here with less key visuals. That is probably the best fit for a presentation with a lot of numbers. Let's go for this one. And if, for example, I would like to have some specific settings for my agenda, I could easily use the advanced settings, which is probably not the best choice for every user, but if you are an experienced user, you could also work with those. For example, I don't want to have here the overview slide. Now we're done, and I just simply create an agenda. So you see what happened in the background. We have directly 4 divider slides. As I already explained, this is a very simple design in there, which will be probably the best fit for a report. And now I would like to fill my report with some content. This is something that I can do using the library so that I don't need to reinvent the wheel and basically start creating every slide from scratch. So let's go for the library. And in there, I also have under my favorites, the report folder, which is no surprise if I'm working in the financial department. So this is something that is interesting for me, and I'm working with this information probably very frequently. Apart from that, we have also a company library where you have all the information stored centrally, for example, product materials, etc., that everyone could use in their presentations. Also, there is a library section, a user library section, which is a user-specific area. And there I have a possibility to work, for example, on my own, on my drafts, for instance, or just share a presentation with 1 or 2 colleagues to work together on this one. And at the very end of the library, we have the corporate design templates, which are also available and help you to create a nice presentation. Yeah, so for us today, the report information is interesting, and I just quickly go to into this folder by double-clicking it. You see that the functionality is very similar to a Windows Explorer, so that basically you don't need to learn anything new. You just can double-click to open the folder. And in there, you see different types of content that we could upload to the library. The library can contain different slides and also the ready-to-go presentations, as you see here, according to this icon. And I will just very simply double-click on this first slide to insert a summary over there, and it directly goes to the first chapter. And I would also like to have some more information for the chapter 2. So if I double click on the chapter 2, you see that multiple slides are directly inserting. So this is another type of content that you could upload to the library, is a slide set. This is how we call it. The slide set basically gives you a message that this is a pre-structured selection of slides. You don't need to work on it and change the order, for example, for the slide. And also for a management report where we don't want to go into the situation where something is missing so that we don't forget anything. This is a predefined structure that we are working with. For chapters 3 and 4, I also have some slide sets, which are not that long in comparison to the second chapter. And I just could simply also add those. Okay, before we move forward, I would like just quickly show you our template for the report. So we have over there the summary page where we have the selected information that is probably the most important information for the reader. Also, we have a chapter with sales numbers and earnings performance. We have here different types of charts. Also in this slide, we have basically on the placeholders. This is something that we would need to work on today. And on the next slide, we also have, let's say, a table placeholder where also we have missing data, but don't worry, we will complete these files today. Yeah, moving further, we have also some other combinations of content. We have here a text block and also the tables per segment. to give some insights about the segment, also some text regarding the net assets, the cash flow is included as well. And regarding selected financial information, we have some financial position and statement of income included. So this is roughly the idea about our report. All right, so as I already mentioned, we have here the sales by segment information, which is not there yet. This is fine because this is how basically the working with report is normally structured. You have some predefined content and also have the possibility to create some new content. So to show my sales development by segment, I would like to include in there a waterfall chart. So this is something that I can do with the help of Empower Chart tools. Over there in the ribbon, and if I click on Empower Chart, I get directly the selection of all different chart types that are basically available for me to use and are already pre-designed for me. We have some waterfall charts, we have different types of column charts, line charts, Meko charts, circles, and also things like scatterplot and bubble chart. In this case, I would like to go for a very simple waterfall chart, which directly goes in to my placeholder. And you see we have a template of a chart, which also has an additional menu bar, which is above of the chart. This is how basically Empower Charts is working. You have, for every single chart, you have this menu bar to do some modifications. For instance, you could add some different types of lines like growth arrow or CAGR arrow, or you could also work with labels. For example, changing the format of the numbers that you are getting from Excel sheets. You can also very convenient work with series. You could activate and deactivate series that you don't want to see, for example, in this report, in this chart, and also you can work with the colors. In the properties, you have some settings regarding the legend and also the axis and different types of formatting options. And probably the most important and exciting function for today would be create an Excel link. So this is something that I would like to do right now. I click on Excel link, and there is a little window which shows me what kind of Excel sheets are already opened. So there will be a suggestion for me to use this one, or I could of course browse on my computer or on some net drives to find the relevant file. And the last option would be to paste a SharePoint URL or a Microsoft Teams URL over there. So let's work with our report tables, which are already opened. And over there, I could select the relevant tab and directly select the area I would like to link to my chart and just simply confirm. So you see that Empower directly changed the numbers for me. The chart looks a little bit different. Of course, this is not the ideal the ideal way how the chart should look like, because we have here almost no chance to see what kind of number is it. To fix this, we could also create a value access break. Empower has an integrated automatic logic to create a break so that I don't need to calculate anything. I could simply rely on this automatic logic. For those of you who would like to cut off a very specific area, you could also have a manual break. So let's go for the automatic logic, click OK, and you see that Empower automatically inserts the break for you on the value axis, and now you can see that this is 120. To show the development of sales, this is basically the message of our slide over there. I would like to show the growth arrow from the very beginning to the end point to the value of today in percentage, and also I would like to have an ellipse around the number. So the arrow is directly there for you, and you could also have some modifications regarding the formatting. For example, making the font bold and show that this is a positive development by recoloring it in green. So we're almost done. I would like to have one more modification, for example, to show the different segments in another color. This is also something that I could do with the help of Empower. And if I click simply on the on this spare parts part, I can very quickly recolor this part using one of the colors in our color palette. You see that the color palette is pretty limited. We have here some blue colors, gray colors, and also some signal colors. This is something that you have completely influence on. We could together define the color palette that you would like to use in your software so that every chart is corporate design compliant. Also, for those of you who are working in the consultancy business, or for example, are working a lot with customer masters, for instance, or just simply with different PowerPoint designs, it is also possible to have a flexible color palette, which means that this color palette will be directly the software will directly take over the colors from your master template. So over there, I would like to use our color palette. So for instance, I would like to have it in blue, then light blue, and for example, the gray tone over there. Okay, so now we are done with the sales development by segment, and now I would like to show the sales by segment as well, the distribution of all these specific segments that we have. And I would like to do it using, let's say, a pretty simple chart. This would be pie chart. You see that the template is already inserted for me, and I just can do exactly the same steps. Select an Excel file, go into the relevant tab, select the area I would like to link, and confirm. So yeah, now we have, for example, here the three segments already displayed. So there are new numbers directly, just to make it really clean and correct. I would like also to adjust the colors over there. So for spare parts, it should be this blue color. Tires are already fine, and the vehicles should be in the gray color. Yeah, so this is how you could very simply create the chart from scratch and connect those charts to your Excel file. With the help of Empower Charts, you can not only connect your charts to the Excel sheet, but also tables. On the next slide, we have a table, which is rather a table placeholder over there. We have no data inside, but we know that this is the data coming from Q2 report. We could also very easily fix this. I go directly to the Excel link over there in Empower Charts menu and ask Empower to create an Excel link. It's basically the same process as I just showed you before. Select the table, and I just could directly go to my key financials, select the table that I would like to connect, and confirm. So, and you see what happens. We have all the data directly in the table. It goes in automatically. And the best is that the formatting is still completely the same. So you could pre-format your tables in PowerPoint and just fill in with the data so that your tables still look pretty. Okay, so this is how we could create different types of links with our PowerPoint report. And let's say we are done with the Q2 report. We have here some predefined information. Those tables are already pre-filled. So this would be basically the same steps that I just showed you to reach this result. So everything is linked right now with our table. And now imagine a couple of weeks later, you need to update this report to Q3 numbers. you receive one new or multiple Excel tables that you would need to, and this data you would need to connect with your PowerPoint report. So in this case, what you would do is you just simply go to the Excel sheet and modify data over there just at the first step. So here we have our table with key financials, still with Q2 results. And let's imagine that I have the new results in a new Excel sheet, for instance. I just simply copy and paste these numbers to my linked table. I would also need to have a Q3 sales number for my sales development to date chart. There we go. And also I have new data for sales development by region for Q3. And just simply paste these numbers into my table, which is linked. Of course, if you are having, let's say, a very complex report, and basically you would have a change on in every tab of your Excel sheet. So this, for our example today, we'll just do a couple of changes so that you have a better idea how it works within Power Tools. Okay, now we changed all the data in our Excel sheet. And what I can do right now is I just could simply go slide by slide and update all the information that I need. So that you know, it's also possible to have a setting to update everything automatically, which means once you leave a cell where you make a change of any number, you could directly see the result in PowerPoint. It will be updated automatically so that you don't need to do anything. For our example today, for our session, I would like you to see exactly the impact, what elements can be changed. So this function is deactivated right now so that we will do the updates manually. You see here the very first summary page, which is probably, as I stated before, probably the most important one for those who would like to have just the key figures about the financial health of the organization in Q3. And I could update all these text boxes that are here already linked with the help of Empower Charts. I could make a very quick update with Empower. In Empower Charts, I have also the possibility to have an overview of all my Excel links, and this is done via Excel Link Manager. I'll just open it. You see, it looks like a very pretty complex table. Just let's go step by step to so that you understand what kind of information we have over there. It all starts with the number of slides, where there is an element which is connected to your Excel sheet. So in this case, on the slide 3, it is a shape. And if you mouse over, you have also an extended view preview where exactly this element is positioned on the slide. So this is also very helpful if you have a lot of elements linked on the slide. Moving further, we have directly a link, which is showing us where exactly the file is located and what kind of range is linked to our element. Also, we have here the possibility to set if we would like to have an absolute path or a relative path. The absolute path means that you basically are not allowed to move your PowerPoint file and Excel file to any other location. If they stay in the same location, the connection is always working. In case you are planning to copy both files and, for example, paste into another folder or simply change the location of both files, you could basically set a relative link and also do your copy and paste very easily so that the link will not break. In the settings, you have also the possibility to set the mode for refreshing your links. For example, you could have the automatic option that I mentioned before. We deactivated this for our webinar. So in this case, all the links can be updated manually. Also, you see here when the link has been last updated, and you have the status of the link so that you have always an overview if the link is still working. For our Excel sheet, luckily all the status is everywhere already, but if there is any issue, then there will be another icon, a red bubble that indicates that there is something wrong with the link. Yeah, and what I would like to do right now is to update our summary slide. I will just arrange my windows a little bit differently so that you could directly see both the Excel Link Manager and the PowerPoint slide. So here are the numbers for Q2. What I can do right now, I just can select all different elements that are located on the slide number 3 and refresh selected elements. So probably you noticed directly that we have had here 7,000 million euros as a sales number, and now it's 11 million euros. And over there you basically see that all the numbers from Q3 are directly integrated into our summary slide. Also, you don't necessarily need to have every time the whole view of Excel Link Manager. You could also update elements one by one as you go. For example, on this chart can be also updated manually. I just click on it and have directly an option to refresh my data. And you see another bar appeared for Q3. This is the one that we added in our Excel. And I have now the full set of data. To make this chart completed, I would like to insert also data line for Q3 comparison in percentage. Click OK. And over there, I just directly adjust the formatting, making the number bold. So now we are basically done with our sales development from Q1 2019 to date. On the next slide, or on the slide number 7, you have different types of elements that are linked to Excel sheet. We have a table, we have also chart, and different text elements that are also linked to our Excel sheets. So these numbers are coming basically from this table just to highlight the most important results. And what I can do right now, also using the Excel Link Manager, like that, I also simply select all elements that are located on the slide number 7. We have here some shapes, the text boxes, and also a table. And please focus on these numbers. This will be probably the most visible effect for you if I refresh the link. You see here that the numbers have been changed. Also, there was a slight change in the sales by region. And if I just maximize this window again, you see that we have here all the Q3 numbers that we basically need. And now you are basically done with your update, which means that the only thing that you need to do in order to have an update for your management report for the next quarter, or for maybe if you're working on annual reports for the next year, you just simply have to do the changes in your Excel link, and all the other activities Empower will do for you automatically. So now we are done with the Q3 report. Of course, in the practice, you would have more updates for every single slide over there, but we are happy with this one for our example. So I will just finalize the title page, just indicating that this is a Q3 report 2020 to make it really clear. And what I would like to do now is to distribute everything to everyone in our organization, or maybe to a specific user group. And I could do this by saving this presentation to the library. To do so, I can very simply click on Save, save the presentation. This works again very similar to your Microsoft Explorer. I just could go to any relevant folder. that I would like to save this information in, and just say quarterly statement Q3. Hit on save. And now Empower is preparing an upload. You just saw that you have a very first notification from Empower, which means that the upload has started. And after the second notification comes in, it means that the upload is basically ready. What I can do now and what I can reach by saving the presentation to the library is basically making it available to everyone in the organization. Of course, it depends if, for example, not everyone needs to see the financial information, or maybe we're talking about the draft and it should be approved first, then it will be probably a working folder where only a selected number of people have access to. Yeah, so now we are having the second notification from our system, and I will just very quickly update the view of my library to get the latest result. I saved the presentation to this folder, and basically what you could do during searching in the library, you could also not only going to the folders as I'm doing right now. So you have here already the result, the Q3 report. I just could simply click in the folders and find the relevant result. But if I know where exactly the report is located, or you could also use the search bar to search for your report or for any other content in the library. Yeah, so this would be the way how to find the relevant information if you are working on your laptop from home or from your office and you have a desktop client of Empower directly in your PowerPoint. However, there are also cases where people are on the road and imagine your manager 3 a.m. in the morning somewhere at the airport, and he or she would like to check the latest numbers before the meeting at 8 a.m., for instance. And so for that one, you don't need to work with your laptop necessarily. You could also check out the latest information in Empower Teams app. You see here my Teams account, and Empower app is directly integrated in Teams. And I have also access to the web library. What I could do now, I just could check for the latest information for our report. Webinar report. And there we go. We have our quarterly statement. I just could go into the presentation and see what kind of slides are in there. So this is the one that we just created and uploaded. Also, if Empower Teams is not an option, it's not installed. So then you could also get access to this Empower library via a specific URL, so that you have basically access from everywhere and anytime. If you have the internet connection, you could also have the access to the same library to check the latest results. Yeah, so this is how easy and efficient it is to create a management report in PowerPoint using the Excel links. Empower charts and Empower slides can be a great help in this process. And just to sum up, let's look at the challenges that we addressed at the very beginning of the webinar. We have insufficient data visualization options with standard PowerPoint tool. And this is something that we could solve with Empower Charts, which has a very easy, efficient, convenient way to create brand compliant charts. Also talking about the links, linking to Excel is with Empower Charts very easy and fast. You just need to have a couple of clicks, select the relevant area, and then you're basically done. If we are talking about some changes in your reports regarding the data, you have also the whole overview in the Excel link manager, where you have the information about every single link, which data is exactly connected to your PowerPoint presentation, when the latest updates has been performed, and also if the link is broken or everything is fine. talking about finding the data, the recent results, you could make it very easy if you upload everything to Empower Library in PowerPoint in Microsoft Teams. And also you have the access through a web URL where you can find the latest results. So this is how Empower can help you to create very fast automated management reports in PowerPoint. And now I would like to hand over to my colleague Felix, who is looking at your questions, and so that we could spend some time on answering those.
Thank you very much, Ekaterina, for that great presentation. I had an overview of the questions, and now we will talk about them. To all the attendees, if you have any further questions, please just post them into the chat, use the chat functionality of Zoom, and then we can answer your question right away. So yeah, let's start. Ekaterina, probably the best question for a salesperson. What does Empower cost?
Yeah, exactly. So we have a license-based license model. In order to be able to create reports like I just showed today, you would need to have both products, Empower Slides and Empower Charts. This is a named user license model, which means that either you could basically define in your organization who is exactly the one who would like to use the tool, who needs the tool, or we also offer very attractive corporate licenses so that you could empower everyone to be able to do this kind of tasks, the creation of PowerPoint presentations.
Okay, next question. Do I need my IT department to implement Empower?
Yes, you need your IT department, for example, to roll out the client. So this will be the task of your IT department to make, let's say, the rollout successful for the users so that everything is installed on the local computer. All the other activities in the background, for example, as setting up a server and hosting the Empower system, this is something that we could do for you. So we are offering Empower as a software as a service model, which means that we are also taking care of the hosting, maintenance, and updates of the system in the background.
Okay, next question. Do I have to train my users myself, or will you help there?
Yes, we definitely help you with the rollout process. We have trainings included in any way during the implementation process. There are different types of packages that you could book depending on the level of support that you would need from our side. And the minimum requirement is, let's say, that you have at least one training session in the package. All these trainings are normally recorded and can be available, can be made available to all other colleagues who couldn't make it to the training session or maybe join the team later, so that you have always the information that you need regarding Empower.
All right. The next question is Empower compatible with ThinkCell?
Very interesting question. ThinkCell is a tool which basically has the same functionality as Empower Chart, which means that the result of the working with this tool is a PowerPoint chart. They are not compatible as such. However, we have a ThinkCell converter, which means that all those ThinkCell charts that you already created over the years, you could very easily, by clicking just on one button, transfer into the Empower chart. And then this chart is completely editable using the Empower tools, and also, what is very important, especially in the context of the management reports, the Excel links that you have with those charts will still remain.
All right. One more question. How long is the implementation process, and can you describe the implementation process a bit?
Yeah, the implementation process typically takes 6 to 8 weeks, depending, of course, on the complexity of, for example, your master template, what kind of services you would like to have from our side. But the standard implementation is roughly 6 to 8 weeks. So the first step would be that we customize the system first according to your corporate design, which means we will implement your master template with all the corporate design guidelines regarding colors and fonts, etc. Create a element library for you, meaning that you have different slide elements in there, for example, slide templates or pictures or icons. So basically everything that you need in order to create a nice PowerPoint presentation. In the next step, we will take care of the technical implementation. So this is something that we could do for you. We will set up the server and also after the customizing is done, deliver to you the package that needs to be distributed to every user in your organization. And at the very end of the implementation, once everything is set up, when you have your system ready, we are going into trainings because we made the best experience if we have the trainings directly on your system, then the users basically already know where exactly which folder is exactly for which purpose, where find certain content. So then the acceptance is in the organization way better.
Okay, great. Just let me have a look at the questions and answers. No further questions so far. Maybe we wait one more minute. So if somebody else has a question so that you can post it. Maybe in between, if you have any ideas, what could be good topics with regard to Microsoft Office and Empower for next webinars, you could also post ideas in the chat. We're happy to get new ideas from our customers and viewers for our next webinars that we will definitely do in the next year. Okay, I think that's it, Ekaterina. No more questions so far.
All right, so thank you for joining us today. Thank you for your attention. If you have at some point maybe other questions regarding the topic or Empower products, you are of course very welcome to contact us through our website or just writing us an email. We are always ready to help. So thank you again for joining us today, and I wish you a great day.